Hey, I hope you're all keeping well as this developments continue on. This is like I said, the greatest education ever was the last 2 years, but the education continues. Uh, this will be put the kettle on because this will be a long one. So I wrote a book called The Anvil of the Psyche in 2013, I think, and you can read the entire book for free on Substack. I'll put a link below when the video's over. You can read the entire book there. But ultimately, what that book was really about was teaching people how to react to the zeitgeist media. Okay, the media. And how popular culture in general. And it's a very different thing than how to react in your daily personal life. So if you have a falling out with someone or you have a relationship breaks up, that's a very different set of skills because it's emotionally connected and it's very powerful, and you're often fighting for your dignity or you're fighting for an injustice that you feel you had inside you with another person that may not be true, or may not warrant, or the behavior may warrant it as well. You don't know, but that's a very different set of skill sets than the ones you need to react to news on TV and mainstream media. At this point in the game, everything is news. Everything revolves around news. The whole thing, everything revolves around culture change. What we're experiencing is the Western version of the Chinese Communist Revolution, in that the revolution, the cultural Marxist, the Bolshevik Revolution, basically the criminal cartel Bolshevik Revolution of today, that we call globalism, seeps its propaganda into every single aspect of popular culture. And that's why you have to learn these set of skill sets and how to react to these things, okay? Very different than how you react in your personal life and personal problems. This is a whole other set of skill sets. We'll talk about that now today. Now, the way. First of all, if you smoke weed, skunk, cannabis, if you inject yourself with fucking washing up liquid, that's none of my business. You go ahead and do that all you want. I'm not going to judge you. But I will continue to point out that there's certain things wrong with that, just like anything else. And people who use large amounts of weed, who are addicted to cannabis. Now, the difference, here's a question. The difference between someone who's addicted to cannabis and someone who's a user is that if you talk about the dangers of cannabis, the many, many dangers, including brain rot, which is the most obvious one, paranoia, uh, extreme passive aggressiveness. Uh, if you if you point these things out to a regular weed smoker, they'll say things like, "Well, yeah, I know, but I'm taking it easy. It just helps me with, like, I have pains or whatever, and this kind of thing, or it relaxes me at the after work." That's different. A cannabis addict will instantly attack you. A cannabis addict, upon you questioning the use of weed and skunk, will not have the cognitive ability to balance out the thing because of the cannabis gin demon inside them. They can't, the low level entity that has entered them through the skunk. They can't react in any other way than to instantly attack on behalf of the entity inside them. Uh, that, that and they will immediately attack. They'll immediately go on the attack because they're terrified that you're going to take their green crack away from them. And you're not. And you're going to be involved in passing laws. All they're just saying is, you can do whatever you want. I'm just telling you it's not good. And now that's completely different than an alcoholic. If someone's an alcoholic, they'll say to you, "Look, you've got look, Patty, you got a fucking drink problem." And they go, "Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're right. Yeah, that's But if you talk to a skunk addict and you say, skunk rots the brain and is addictive, you fucking animal, you fucking lowlife. I know what you fucking did. You ran off on your fucking first husband. That's exactly that's how they, or they come back with, cannabis users don't beat people up out when the pubs close every night. As if everyone who drinks alcohol is involved in a pub fight every night. They instantly attack. Instantly, because they're terrified, and that's because they're serving a low-level base entity inside their skulls. Now, this is one of the reasons why the 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 powers that be, the globalists, have been legalizing and decriminalizing weed everywhere. They want everyone not being able to cognitively process anything and instantly go on the tack. Now, one of the reasons I think they legalized all the weed is they're gonna put certain areas of the world in charge of growing weed and skunk and stuff like that. Just say some country like Afghanistan, just any country, but let's say for that case. And therefore, when skunk and weed supplies are cut off, all the cannabis addicts will want to destroy that country or whoever if they've been told is behind it. And that's one of the reasons they want irrational people who can't think. And they've already got that with the majority, but they want it even worse. And the ones who don't smoke weed and aren't green crack cannabis skunk addicts, they use hysteria as a drug. Now, I'll give you an example, right? You go to your social media and talk to the people you know in your daily life, and I can bet you every single one of them who was wired up and fired up and obsessed with the Rona is not interested in the Rona anymore, but is interested exclusively now in Russia and Ukraine. They have jumped from one addiction to the next. The low level, barely sentient NPCs, animals, performing seals, jump from the ones who, when the Black Lives Matter thing was going, they took the knee and put a square up. The ones who, when in that the horrible murder of that woman in Ireland recently, started talking about how all men are guilty or need to change. They're the same ones who fell for the Roman narrative completely. They'll all have justice for Ukraine, stand with Ukraine, flash hashtags and Ukrainian flags on their social media now, like a switch. There's a switch from one to the other, because that mind is not capable of anything other than hysteria. It's not a fully sentient mind. They're not fully sentient. They have no inner monologue, most of them, and they are just what Pavlov called a bag of conditioned responses. That's all they can do. They're not fully human. You have to remember that. They're not. They're golems. When the Jews talk about the goyim with the beast without a soul, what they're talking about is people who don't have a full internal sentient nature to them, the golem. And you're dealing with that with many people in your lives because, as the Hindus quite rightly point out, just like the Jews, there's more souls on this, there's more bodies on this earth, there's more cattle on this earth than there are souls to occupy them. I know that's an abomination to Christians to hear that and to New Agers, but that's the fact of it, okay? And so what happens is these people cannot step back and say, hold on a fucking second, what's going on really here? And this is why they jump. You look at the journal.ie, any article now on COVID, there's about 4 or 5 comments compared to the 50,000 there was a year and a half ago. Where are all those people all gone? Ukraine and Russia comments. And this is where they are now. So those of us who are sentient, and those of us who have an internal monologue, and those of us who got off smoking weed, we have the ability, we still can get whipped up into this stuff. And this video is aimed at us, those who can find themselves worried or whipped up into this stuff, okay? First of all, there's a golden rule, but it's not a hard and fast rule, that everything you see on the TV news is lies. It's mostly lies, or it's mostly very subjective, or it's mostly delivered without full context. But not all of it is lies. A lot of it is true by a matter of discourse and a matter of fact, the way things are. It just is. It is true. So don't assume that everything on the news is lies. When it comes to, like, for instance, you don't know what's really happening on the ground in the Ukraine unless you have relatives who live there and telling you about it, okay? And chances are they're not seeing it either. They're probably just hearing about it. And they might hear the odd jet fighter flying over. They don't know if that's a Russian or one of their own. And so they're hearing about it from their corrupt media as well. Now, the Ukraine is an evil country, not the Ukrainian people. They're, just like anyone else. And that country has a great ancient history and culture. Going back, they were like a power at one time in the sort of like the late Middle Ages, early Renaissance. And they the government that runs that is the deep state. When what Putin is attacking, and this is very important, don't big up Putin to be a hero either. He's only looking after his own interest. I'm already seeing truthers and people in the old scene already bigging up Putin as if he's a great guy. He's not doing it for you. It's the whole thing. My enemy's enemy is my friend. He's attacking the big state. The big state uses Ukraine as a big money laundering place. It's where a lot of banking systems are out of, and this kind of thing. And from the Biden family, that basically all their money is in Ukraine. That's where and the Clinton Foundation, the rest of them, that's where they all do their funny business. They have a big country in Eastern Europe that they can annoy. Now, you see that, what's it in Nancy Pelosi, that other thing, whatever that thing is. She's talking about the evil Russians attacking the Ukraine. Now, could you imagine if the shoe was on the other foot and the Russians set up, the Russian mafia set up, and the Russian government set up Mexico as a place where they can do their funny business right next to the US border, put their weapons all along the border, and point them at Texas and Dallas and Houston and San Antonio and California and Phoenix? Would it be the same thing? Absolutely would be the same thing. That's what's going on. That's all that's happening. The American end of the globalists, but to an extent the entire globalists, have set up Ukraine as basically a money laundering deep state operation. It's all in there, okay? And they're doing it to annoy and nag the Russians, okay? They want to do things like they want to eventually flood Russia with millions of African and Middle Eastern refugees. The way they do it is through countries that they can take over in Eastern Europe. They try to do it through Poland, Bulgaria, and Romania, and both Polish, the Bulgarians, and the Romanians are not stupid, so they didn't fall for that one. But if they can get a client state like Ukraine, they can do things like fly in African and Middle Eastern people into the Ukraine, and then feed them over the border into Russia. That's what they want to do. They don't see, because they think they've conflated nationalism with hatred. They don't understand that you can be nationalist and not be hateful. And so you have people responding to it in two ways. The average normie, semi-sentient, performing seal, pot-banging, NPC, spectrum types, they all think that Russia is doing this because it's evil and stuff like that. And they have no idea why they want to protect the Ukraine other than the evening news told them they should. And you have someone like Micheál Martin, but not exclusive. This goes on in all the Western countries, all the globalist states. Micheál Martin, the Prime Minister of Ireland, who stood up in the Irish Parliament a few years ago and said, we will have no more talk of backward nationalism. In the Parliament that people like Michael Collins gave their lives for to set up, the Prime Minister of Ireland, before he was Prime Minister, stood up in that Parliament and said, we will have no further talk of backward nationalism. And this guy who says we'll have no further talk of backward nationalism in Ireland is fighting and defending the borders and the sovereignty and the integrity of Ukraine. And that's the globalists for you. The globalists don't care about the borders and the sovereignty of their own nations. They only care about the borders and the sovereignty of the other nations. And so you create a situation. All this began with the Palestinian thing, by the way. Oh, I'm going to get them on here. How dare you say this Palestine? No, this all began the Palestinian thing. The Palestinian thing was designed. Now, I'm not saying this. I'm not getting involved in the Palestinian issue or the Israelis issue. That's their own business, okay? But I'm just saying to you that this obsession with Palestine in the West has been funneled into other whatever else they want to do. So you have it like, this is why you have like so-called Irish nationalists who carry Palestinian flags and won't carry an Irish flag. This kind of thing, like this knuckle-scraping Celtic jersey Sinn Féin voters. They'll carry Palestinian flags but never an Irish flag. And they don't even support an Irish soccer team. Celtic are British. But that's what they're like. They're just brainwashed. They're just all parodies. They've been given a program, they slot into it, and they fulfill the programming. I am this because an opinion was given to me. I will conform in every aspect to this. That's why you go to any article or video about Sinn Féin and all you see are Celtic FC logos. That's all you fucking see. Why? I support Sinn Féin. I have to follow Celtic, and I have to hate the English, and I have to hate Protestants, while saying, I'm against sectarianism, and also flooding Ireland with immigrants. That they're in favour of that. That has always been that's the Sinn Féin motto. Brits out, Muslims in. That's their motto. And I'm not knocking Muslims or anything like that. I'm just saying that's how they function. They are very heavily deep state globalist operation. Their voters are all absolute morons, okay? But that's what they want. That's what they want. Morons who have morons who have a passionate opinion about things they don't understand. They only have those opinions because they've been told to have them, and they slot into them and they take them over. Now, we have the same thing in the alt media as well. Automatically, people are sending me emails. Thomas, do you think it's going to be World War III? And I'm like, fuck off, no. Go away. There's not going to be World War III. World War III has been raging since 1945. It never ended. The Cold War was the beginning of World War III, and it's been raging ever since. And there's all sorts of changes. 1 minute, Russia's the good guy, the bad guy. China's the good guy, the bad guy. Our government spent the last 2 years, the Western government spent the last 2 years declaring war on their own citizens. And so they declared the citizens of their own countries the enemy. And they attacked them and imprisoned us and made us do all kinds of things, did medical experiments on us. That's amazing to think that, just think about that now. People, we grew up horrified that, can you believe that the Nazis got people in concentration camps and did medical experiments on them? Can you believe that people were imprisoned in ghettos against their will and are injected and put under medical experiments? Dear normies, if there's an ounce of sentient awareness inside those skulls of yours, can you not see how you're being played? Can you not see it? The same thing in the Ukraine. I don't give a fuck about the Ukrainian government because I know the scumbags that they are. I feel sorry for any Ukrainian soldier who has to die for those animals. And I feel sorry for any Ukrainian citizen. I even feel sorry for any Russian soldier who has to die removing them animals. Because that's what they are. The Ukrainian government are just animals. They're Bill Gates, Klaus Schwab, Tony Blair type scumbags. That's all they are. And they don't serve the Ukrainian people. They serve the globalist puppet masters who run them as a client state of the Clinton Foundation. That's all they do. And this is a waste of time, the whole thing. And Putin just wants to reestablish. Putin has made his move for one major reason. He wanted to see what Biden and the Democrats were made of. And as soon as Biden and the Democrats scarpered out of Afghanistan and left all those weapons and all that military hardware for the Al Qaeda and the rest of them, Taliban, whatever they're called now, whatever this week's rename is, he knew that Biden was ineffective and a coward. And he knew that I was surrounded by people who were more interested in woke. He made there's pictures of him having speeches there, saying there's mental illness in the West. In the United States, they're teaching children that a man and a woman that men can can be women and have babies and should have and a family is not a man and a woman and children. And he says they're gone mad, they're gone insane, and he's absolutely right. But they're not really gone insane. It's cultural Marxism. The population has gone insane, of course, but it's the same thing as the Chinese Communist Revolution. The destruction of all that was. During the Chinese Communist Revolution, they went in and destroyed all the Chinese documents, artifacts, museums, ancient sites. They wanted a clean slate, and they used the same people, uneducated, hysterical, unhinged, easily controlled people. The same people have purple hair today and work as, diversity officers in Google. The same people. And they're doing it the same Bolsheviks are here again. Remember, if from socialist to national socialist to extreme commissar within the old Duma, Politburo, sorry, the old Politburo, the every Marxist is a degree of Bolshevik. Some are semi-benign Bolsheviks, others are extreme murderers, but all Bolsheviks. They can all be swung towards the extreme end of Bolshevism. They're all Trotskyites at the end of the day. Now, so they destroyed the past. Now you see that's happened to us all the time. You have people saying, well, look at all the historical dramas, what they put black people and Asians in the characters. Again, I'm not bothered by a black person playing Richard the Lionheart or a black woman playing, Mary Magdalene. I'm not bothered by any of that stuff. It's called acting for a reason. But and I don't blame those black actors for taking the work up. Good luck to them. I'd take the work it was given my way. But the people making these shows are all Bolsheviks. They're all Bolsheviks who are determined to erase Western culture. So, but what they do is, you see, in the alt media, they start picking on the actors. You see, we had a problem on the Beyond Room 313 group. We had to get rid of some people. Talking about the Lord of the Rings things immediately turned into a race thing. They started attacking black people. No. That's not who the issue lies with the black actors or anything like that. The issue lies with the producers, who are all they'd be all different. They'd be mostly all Christians, but there'd be Jews and stuff in there. But they'd be like whites, Jewish, Christian, upper middle class, wealthy, lots of WASPs, lots of Anglo-Saxons, and they'll be all doing this. They're the ones all doing this. So you're not angry at them, but you make fun of black people who are. That's not the issue. Forget the actors who are in the shows; they're not the problem. The problem are the producers, the Bolsheviks in charge. Yourself. Netflix has been run by the Freud family. Bernays family. I mean, that's not even hidden. And the same. These people have always been tampering with us. And they always seem to be from German stock, Prussians, Frankfurt. They always seem to be from that part of the world. And I'm not putting against Germans. These people are aristocrats, Prussian aristocrats. They're not regular Germans. But it always seems to go back to that somehow, Hessians. But anyway, leave that aside. Don't be picking on the actors. The actors it's not their fault. So there's the whole thing of the new Lord of the Rings thing's kicking off. Now, the Lord of the Rings thing, as I said to you, it just looks awful. It looks like a children's TV show. I mean, the whole portrayal of Galadriel is like, go girl, you go get them, girl. Laura Croft. She's cool, she's hot. Woo, give it up, Galadriel. Woo, bitch. That kind of thing. We're talking about a Virgin Mary type character. We're talking about a Virgin Mary spiritual entity that never carried swords and attacked people. It's unbelievable. But they have to write the standard Laura Croft, Wonder Woman female archetype into it. Not the fault of the actress. She needs a job and she's taking it. And the same, like the people they have, black people playing elves. It's rubbish, not for that reason. It's rubbish because it looks like rubbish. The scenes of the cities look like the Magic Kingdom at Disneyland in Florida. It looks awful, and the music sounded awful. It will be horrible. And I'm not one of these people. I'm not going to hold out hope and say it's good. It's just bad because soulless people are behind it. They're the ones, the producers, the co-writers, the people who finance it, all these people who want the bottom line and sell it and market it and produce it. They're all the ones you go after as individuals. And what they represent, Bolshevism. You don't go after the actors. The actors are innocent. That's why we threw those people off the group recently, because they were like going off. They were making fun of black people. It was awful, and just because it's not the black people's fault that they're being used for Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. That's not their fault. Again, I've no problem with them. It's called acting for a reason. It's called going into the role. It's called acting. And you suspend reality and deal with it. If you can't deal with it, the thing is that they've done it. They have destroyed Lord of the Rings for the sake of political correctness and the the rainbow dollar. That's all they've done it for. And they have all these people advising them with purple hair, and that this is what young people are. They're into this today, and they're not. And they're not. And they took gaps. I mean, it's ridiculous what they've done. The more I read about it, you know, the ironic thing is, in the southern part of Middle Earth, there were races down there that Tolkien referred to as dark skin. They could have easily written roles for people from that part of the south of Middle Earth and brought them into it, and so told things from their side and their perspective. It could have been wonderful, actually. Even no, they did that. No. The elves were black. The elves, they were diverse hobbits. Stupid things. Like that, and all it does is cause trouble. But how to react to that this is what the theme of this video is: how to react. Don't blame the actors and don't blame their skin color. Blame the producers, the directors, the political system that creates them. Blame them. And ultimately it goes back to the globalists. Like I said, when a globalist says democracy, they mean globalism. When they say diversity, they mean destruction of national cultures. And that includes black culture as well, Chinese culture. They're going to destroy everything. They want a clean slate for their great reset and build back better. So they despise all culture. Don't kid yourself that they hate European or American culture and love Chinese or African culture. They hate that stuff as well. They want everything wiped down to a clean slate, and they want the Stepford culture. They want people like that all over the world. They don't care what colour they are, slang. Once they're all like morons looking at TV all the time, high on drugs, high on cannabis, and tablets, and just looking at TV and reacting to everything like that, and not being able to think for themselves. That's so important. And and alt media, I'm seeing them like, oh, is this going to be the end? Like Putin's going to be an end World War III. What are you on about? World War III has been raging since the World War II ended. Never stopped. Secondly, it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. The United States wouldn't stand a chance. And this is no disrespect to American service folks. I'm not putting you down. I'm just saying, because of your leadership, who've done the same thing with the US military that they've done with Lord of the Rings, i.e. globalized and woke it, and you're walking around in high heels. They have like fellas walking around in high heels and recruitment ads with rainbow flags, and these people, this is and generals who say things like, I want to know about white privilege. Bullshit. Your job is to be a soldier, not to be a politician. But that all happened with Colin Powell. When they all moved into politics, that scumbag from the neocons. You see, that's the thing. There's not a left or right thing. I find the neocons just as repugnant as the liberals on both sides. There's no friends out there for us, and just yourself, or hopefully one day a benevolent dictatorship or something, or it'll never happen. But something like that. But yeah, you have to be very careful how you react to this stuff. My attitude is, okay, yesterday afternoon someone said, Thomas, what do you think we should do with this? It says, go do your hobbies. Go take the dog for a walk. Go watch a movie. Go to the pub. Have a pint. Don't be thinking about this shite. That's the number one reaction, okay? Because no matter how much energy you put into it, it will never change it. So where's that energy going? Out of your life energy and into the fuckers on TV. The CNN, Fox, BBC, RTE, ITV, CNN, CBC, Der Spiegel, Bild, fucking Deutsche Welle, TV5 France. Do they need, RAI in Italy? Do they need your energy any more than what you've given them? No. So you ignore them, okay? There's nothing, sharing videos of a woman screaming in the Ukraine because a missile hit near her house doesn't make anything any different. It doesn't make anything any different, okay? And they're all, that's the whole thing. And then trying to find things to debunk, that missile actually hit Syria, and here, 10 years ago. That's bullshit too. Save your life energy for yourself. All you have to know is that what's going on in the Ukraine is very simple. The deep state is worried about its money. And then you go, well, there you go. And is there going to be nukes falling on American or European cities? No. Is the European sanctions going to mean anything? No, because they buy all their gas off them. So that's nothing. So it's a big fucking nothing burger. Now, it's an all nothing burger to the people who are dying in Ukraine, in the combat. It's not nothing to them. But in terms of global schemes of things, it will change nothing. Your petrol prices and your gas prices will go up for a while. Your food prices will go up for a while. And then they'll stabilise and go down again. Just like every other war, it'll be a big hullabaloo in the media and then move on to the next thing. And they will change the squares and the flags and the colours and the hashtags, just like they did for Stay at Home, Save Lives, Stand with Ukraine. Next thing will be, I don't know, Save David Hasselhoff's penis. Love yous all. Sanguinosis. Take care. Learn how to react. Don't give these fuckers any more energy than they've already taken from you. Save it for yourself, build your charisma, and then enjoy your fucking life.